Hey there everyone, alternate universe Jeff here. You see, in the universe that I came from, the one in which the video you're about to watch was produced, the name of the board game in question was Wormwood by Ixion Gameworks. However, in this universe, Ixion had to go through some trademark negotiations, and as a result, they changed the name of the game to Sovereign Fall of Wormwood. It's still the same game, which is pretty impressive considering chaos theory and the whole space-time continuum thing, but I just wanted to get out in front of any confusion that might happen in this alternate timeline. Okay, let's go on to the video, but hey, if this helps anyone, the winning lottery numbers for tonight are 1, 17, 29, 36, Humanity spent centuries floating in space after Earth was destroyed by a falling star, Wormwood. A mighty ship, the Ark, carried them to the planet Ixion, where it crash-landed. The sleepers on board were released in groups, often generations apart. Each group took to its own ideology, and now all of them seek to rebuild the Ark in their own image. War is imminent. If Wormwood was a punishment for the hubris of our forefathers, then we carried the echoes of our damnation into the stars. Hey there, and welcome to Tabletop Toolbox. If this is your first time here at the channel, well then thank you for stopping by. I'm Jeff, and you might also know me as your tabletop technician over on the Dice Tower, which might help you if you're sitting there right now going, where do I know this guy from? Now, I'm somewhat known for doing occasionally wild, frequently silly bits over on the Dice Tower channel. But the game I'm here to tell you about today doesn't quite fit into that theme anyway, so today I'm going to show a little more restraint. Starting now. Today I'll introduce a new game coming to Kickstarter. This is Wormwood, independently published by Ixion Gameworks. Wormwood's designer Damon Stay has been developing and fine-tuning this game, and notably its lore, for more than 10 years. Originally a film director, and might I say here I'm just a shade jealous, Damon originally intended Wormwood to live on the big screen. However, 10 years ago, he made his first prototype of the game, pitching it at Gen Con in 2016, and now, almost 8 years of development later, has decided to publish the game himself. Now, what I have here in front of me is, of course, a prototype copy, and it's also a slightly out-of-date prototype copy, so clearly the final product will look better than this, and this already looks pretty damned good. The rules and gameplay, however, are mostly complete, so I'm going to give you a quick summary of what's in this game and how it all works. Wormwood is essentially a living card game. Except that's a licensed term owned by Fantasy Flight, so let's see, since this game is set in the far future post-apocalyptic setting of Wormwood with, mechs and cybernetics and such, why don't we call this a sentient card game? Yeah, I like that. Anyways, in these types of games, players will use pre-constructed decks of cards, but there are no booster packs or cards to collect. Each faction in the game already has every card it'll ever have, and any expansions will add new factions instead of just more individual cards. Now, in addition to their unique deck, however, each player will also have 20 Echo cards, remnants of the Ark ship. More on those in a little bit. At setup, each player starts with a leader card, each with a unique ability, and a citadel card, which are all identical. Their remaining cards are shuffled and placed in between. Let me first show you some of the different types of cards in Wormwood. Facilities provide a variety of ongoing or per-use benefits that trigger when the facility is staffed. Units provide offensive and defensive capabilities and may also have unique requirements or abilities. Augments are played to either facilities or units and will provide additional benefits to either. And reflex cards, which I'm showing you on Tabletop Simulator because their art has changed from my prototype copy, provide powerful abilities that will last, at most, until your next turn. And that brings us to the Echo cards. Players will start with 20 of these shuffled into their deck, but they will both gain and lose cards to other players during combat. Once a player scores their 10th Echo card, they win the game immediately. Now, to explain how Echoes are scored, I'll first walk through the basic turn structure. The first phase of each turn is Growth, where a player will place 2 talents on their citadel. Citizens are the only resource in Wormwood, and they come in just 2 types: talents, the intellectuals and nobility, and drones, the workers or servants. Citizens are gained from the creche, which is simply a supply of these 2-sided tokens. Next is the upkeep phase, and the first thing a player does here is optionally remove up to 1 citizen from each facility card or their leader card in play. Then they'll tend to their forge. Cards in the forge, which were placed in previous turns, continue to develop during the upkeep phase. Each card there will have a talent token on this track around the back of the card, and each talent moves 1 space clockwise on each card during this phase. Now, there are way too many different cards to go into, and that's partially because, with the exception of the Echo cards, there are no duplicates in this game. So I'll go ahead into the next phase, the Forge phase, in which you'll spend most of the time evolving your faction. Now, you can take actions in any order you want here. So first, you could staff up any of your empty facilities. And there's a neat rule here in that you can multiply the required staff of the card to trigger the effect of that card multiple times, though it would then take longer to be able to use that card again, since by default you can only remove 1 citizen from that card each turn. You could also place new cards into your forge, which will require an available talent, which is placed on the starting position at the bottom of the card. This is also the time when any cards which have completed development in the forge can come into play. If the talent on the card is in a position equal to the cost of the card, it can be, if you wish, immediately put into play. There's also an option to boost development of any card in the forge by downgrading an available talent to a drone to increase the development of any card already in the forge, and this can be repeated. Up next is the combat phase, and this is where Wormwood gets, well, even more unique than I think it already is. You see, I mentioned that you can lose Echo cards to other opponents, and that happens through combat. Each player has 2 lanes of units in their play area, one that they stack above their leader card and one above their citadel card. The leader card represents your hand, and when attacked, an opponent might get to look at a number of cards in your hand. The citadel card represents the forge, and so likewise, an attacking opponent might get to rummage through the cards there. In the combat phase, you'll choose one of your 2 lanes, which at maximum can contain 3 units, to attack 1 lane of any opponent. Each lane of units line up single file and attack each other in waves. Each fight plays out like a jousting match, with attack values matching up against armor values, and units will lose health until eliminated. There is a twist here though. You see, each attacking unit only gets to attack once, while each defending unit will attack each unit that passes by, which may give players pause before rushing headfirst into a fight. After each combat, the number of units still alive on either side of the conflict will determine the attacker's breach, which is how many cards they will get to look at, if any. If the attacker finds an Echo card from the defender's hand or forge, they not only steal it, but immediately score it, protecting it for the rest of the game. Another fun twist, by the way, I mentioned these reflex cards a while back. These are the only cards that don't go through the forge and instead are staffed with a number of citizens equal to the cost of the card. These cards, as well as facility and any leader abilities, can be triggered at any time, even when it's not your turn, drastically changing the tactical nature of this game. The last thing a player can do on their turn is move 1 unit from any lane up or down 1 position in its lane or into the back of the opposite lane, and then you'll draw back up to 8 cards. If I'm honest, I went a little deeper into the rules here than I originally intended to, and that's because at first blush this just looks like a game with 300 some odd cards. In reality, however, Wormwood is both incredibly deep and wildly variable, as each faction features unique abilities and combos across its facilities, units, and leader. And it's not just about what you can do with each of these factions, it's what each faction will demonstrate to you in each play. You see, you'll never get through your entire deck in a single playthrough. It's actually impossible, which makes it unfathomable just how much replayability exists across all of Wormwood.
Cut!
We good? Listen, I'm going to let you have a little peek here behind the curtain. Folks who are familiar with me and my work know that I wear my heart on my sleeve. I don't pull punches when I talk about board games. I just don't. The thing is, I know there's a goal here for this video. My role is to sell you on backing this game, and that puts me in a tough position of trying to be honest in what is essentially a promotional advertisement. But I'm going to level with you here, okay? When Ixion first told me about what this game does and how it plays, I was initially concerned. I'm not really big on take that or conflict-driven games, and I hate having things stolen from me. But the first time I played this with some other non-confrontational gamers, we truly had a very good time. The bad things that can happen here aren't random. This isn't one of those, I roll a 6 and so I get to take a bunch of your stuff kind of games. You have so many tactics at your disposal. You can misdirect players as to where your echoes may be. You can negotiate with players for protection or temporary alliances. And the fact that all of this happens with just 30 unique cards and one two-sided resource is truly, truly impressive. On top of it all, Wormwood isn't hard to learn or to teach, but each play of it will reveal layers and layers of opportunities. I could probably go on a bit longer here. I could probably show you some more cards. I could definitely dabble with some more special effects, but I think my best bet is to point you to the Kickstarter page and let you check more of it out for yourself. So thanks for stopping by, and thanks for checking out Wormwood. Found my echo. Cheers. Citizens are the only resource in Wormwood, and they